what's made me successful in managing people, because I'm unorganized, I am half chaos. I'm not half chaos, I'm always chaos. If you want great people to do great work, which helps make you successful, I always say you have to love your team.
Welcome to the Leadership and Legacy podcast, where we interview inspiring CEOs, entrepreneurs, and software leaders who are building remarkable companies and legacies in the world. I'm your host, Austin Yoder, founder of Magrathea Partners, an entrepreneurial investment firm dedicated to acquiring and growing one great founder-owned software company. As part of my journey, I'm learning from inspiring leaders and builders and gathering the most valuable insights and advice I learn along the way here with you, my wonderful audience, so that we can learn and lead better together. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you'll find as much value and insight in the show as I do. Welcome back to the Leadership and Legacy podcast. Today we have the honor of being joined by Patricia King, Executive Vice President of Qual at Dig Insights, an innovative, growthy research company based in Toronto. Patricia has a fascinating story to share with us today. We're really grateful to you for your time and your insights. Thank you so much for being with us today, Patricia.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I am equally excited. I would love it if we could kick off and just have you introduce yourself a little bit and also Dig Insights for our audience who may not be familiar, just so that we're all oriented in the right direction before we dive in.
Great. Well, I'm Patricia. I'm an Executive Vice President at Dig, and I run our qualitative department. So Dig is kind of a strategy, insights, market research company. So talking to all the consumers out there for all those large brand names you often hear. We are 250 strategy consultants, researchers. We have a very large tech team, developers, R&D. So yeah, we've become quite a beast in size. And we have our offices. Our headquarters is here in Toronto, but about 3 years ago, we opened our office in Chicago. And then about 2 years ago, opened our office in the UK. So we're also global. Yeah, that's us.
Fantastic. And how and why did you decide to start at Dig Insights?
So yeah, you sent me that question and I thought about the actual story. I laughed a little bit and didn't know how much I wanted to tell, but I had actually just moved to Toronto from Newfoundland. I'd been here for about a year and I was on my way to a market research company and I met the four founders on a train. They were going to the same conference. They were just a lot of fun, especially, 5, 6 years or 7 or 8 years ago. Yeah, so met them on the train, heard about what they did, hung out with them all weekend, which was great. And yeah, when I came back to Toronto and we chatted and they asked if I wanted to work for Dig. And I wasn't looking for a new job. To be honest, I wasn't interested in a new job. I actually quite loved my old company, but they were just a lot of fun. They were young in the industry, had a great product, very innovative, and there was just something about it that you could tell that it was going to be successful. And they were already successful, but we were about, I think, 27, 28 people when I started, and now we're 250. So I think I kind of put my eggs in the right basket there. But it was that they cared. They were very different from market research at the time. I feel like there was a very traditional approach. Everything was a little bit just status quo. And the partners, the guys, they were really pushing it at the time. So it was kind of an exciting company to be a part of and somewhere you knew you wanted to stick around to see what was going to happen.
That's great. A young, growing company in an exciting industry, made a connection on a train, felt the cultural fit, and the rest is history.
I left out the part about the tequila, but yes, met on the train.
Amazing. Well, that never hurts, certainly.
No, doesn't hurt.
So, Patricia, how would you say the industry has changed since you started? The company has grown about 10 times in terms of headcount since you started. How has the industry changed, and how do you see it evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I'll probably be telling my age a little bit on this one, but the first market research company that I worked for in Atlantic Canada, we owned a call center. So if that tells you anything right there, that tells you how much the industry's changed. Yeah, it's just evolved so much with technology. I know a lot of industries have, but I feel like that market research, how long it used to take to conduct market research, analyze market research, the number of people you could reach, it's just completely evolved, especially obviously on the quantitative side. But I think, what we've seen even more so on the qualitative side is that technology has really increased what we can do, the reach we can get, and how many people we can talk to. Because while, quantitative research was always a little clunky, qualitative research was very clunky. A lot of planes, a lot of rental cars, a lot of back rooms. And I think that the biggest shift has been in the last, I'm going to go with 5 years. We've gotten really lucky as a result of COVID. Nothing good came out of COVID, but for qualitative research, having the companies, our partners, step up, make better platforms, have better technology, having larger panels has really helped us be able to reach more consumers, get a better read on consumers, but also do the research a lot faster, a lot more efficiently, which also saves clients' budget. So I think that, while the whole industry has kind of shifted, qualitative has taken a much larger shift because it's become more accessible for clients. So while you might see smaller projects sometimes, smaller budgets, you can do a lot more of them. So I think that's really where we've seen the change in my specific area.
That's very exciting. And so do you see technology continuing to have such an important impact over the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh my God, every day. Every day you see a new platform. One of the things we've been doing recently, I think I made a note of this elsewhere, but we have a new kind of internal solution. We call it Consumer Pulse. But the idea now that we can write a screener, and there are qual companies out there, qual recruitment companies that actually recruit overnight, schedule themselves, and you can interview them the next day and have AI actually then do kind of the first round of a quick output and then add an overlay to that. That's a project that can now be done in 3 days that, before would take a month and a half. So yeah, so like every day you see something new. The idea of mobile ethnography, shop alongs, all the platforms, the videos, the different activities you can do, it's getting better day by day, and luckily we kind of get to be a part of that. We have a lot of partners that we lean into to help support them, develop the technology that we need.
Thanks for that helpful perspective. And so you've really led the charge on qual, or for anyone in the audience that may be unfamiliar with that abbreviation, qualitative research, while
Yes.
you've been at Dig. What challenge are you the most proud of overcoming while you've led this charge?
Well, it's a broad one, but it's just offering qualitative research. So to your point, for those of you that don't know the industry, it's very, I would say, embedded. It was very embedded. So a lot of companies, you have your qualitative moderator that you love, that you've always went to, that you trust to do your work. And a lot of these companies had been around for a really long time. When I started at Dig, we were just a quantitative research firm. So we did, really complex, well, really kind of easy surveys, complex analysis, but very quantitative in nature. And when I started, there was a really big, I guess, question mark around, is this even going to work? You go into Dig, we had a lot of qualitative partners, and we started off slow. We just started doing, oh, we need a focus group here. We need an online ethnography here. So we started slowly. We started quietly. There's the idea that you also, it's a close knit community. You didn't want to disrupt the market. You didn't want to disrupt relationships. And that grew quickly. It was an uphill battle, but for the most part, it grew quickly, and we were able to add different teams. And we were able to, I always like to say the reason why my team is so great, because I poach from all the big guys. We have everyone we want. And just being able to kind of put ourselves out there in the market and change the perception of being a quantitative research firm to now we are a full service research firm, and that we do qualitative. It's not an easy task to do. And right now I like to think we have the biggest and best team in the industry. So yeah, I think that in itself is the fact that we made it, I think, is a challenge to overcome.
Absolutely. Growing the team, building the team, making sure it's an A+ team, bringing in people from all of the right places. That's a challenge for any growing organization. So certainly that's a great one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one I'm going to go with. There's been lots of challenges, but
Sure.
that's going to be, I think, the biggest. It was just getting out there in the market and being accepted and being trusted by our clients to take on some of this work that,
Mhm.
they've placed elsewhere for so long.
Great. And can you share with us a story of customer success that you're very proud of from your time at Dig?
One of my team members actually presented at our team meeting yesterday. And she was just so proud of the work that she had done because the project came in through a very seasoned market research professional in the industry that had been around forever, and we were not their go-to qual firm. And he had kind of just currently moved companies, and pretty much came to us and said, this quantitative research has been done, not from your company, from a different company, and it needs to be very strategic, and this is what I need to kind of hold my next 5 years to. And right now, I can't with this piece of research. Can you guys help? And we started the research. We looked at it. We came up with a very innovative methodology that included shop-alongs, that included in-home ethnographies, that included some in-depth interviews to really build empathy for his consumer and what they need and how you need to sell to someone and how you need to speak to someone and really get to the heart of them. And it was a long project. It was a big project. And the output was just so amazing. And when it's like you end a project and it's good work. And then, the client walks away and it's done and you start your next project. This is work that we see them using, every day now. But outside of that, like I said, the team was so proud of the output, how it looked, how it felt, every now and then you get that special project when you're like, I hit that so on the head. I feel like that consumer. I know everything about them. And when she presented at the team meeting yesterday, it was funny because her boss sent her the email that the client sent to all of Dig leadership to say, this was amazing. This is impactful work. This is some of the best work I've, ever seen. This is exactly what I needed. And, the reason why I think that's like such success is because the team member had so much pride in it. The client had so much pride in it. And I sat there going, I don't know if I ever got an email like that. So I know I hired the right team because they could produce that. So when you get clients coming back, especially like I said, those that have been around for a very long time and seen it all, when they come back and say, hey, you're the best of the best, I think that's a pretty big success.
That's powerful. Fantastic story.
And I'm not modest at all, obviously.
Of course. Right. Obviously. No, that's okay. It's good to share fully here on the podcast. I think that's where the richest insights come from, surely.
Great.
So you've been a leader at Dig and helped lead the growth, lead the development of Qual. I'd be curious, what advice would you have for others who are starting off on their own leadership journeys?
I'm going to say, and it's something I say often, I hope I usually follow it. And it's, be really good to people along the way. I always say, like, you never know who you're going to need, who you're going to lean on, who's going to give you that next stepping block in your career. Those people around you, your peers, your management, your clients, if you're good to them, then they're good to you. I think that that's one of like the key things. And like I said, I mainly think that as my position as a leader, like that's something that I feel that I built within my team, that we have a very respectful relationship, that the door is always open. It's an open concept life now. So I guess the door is always open. But I think it's really important that like you really take in all the goodness and give it back, because as soon as there's negativity, as soon as you're not sure, that's when things kind of fall apart. So I always say that you just need to really lean into those relationships and enjoy those around you. And then, it helps you to become a better leader, and it makes leadership that much easier.
Hi, it's Austin, your host, with a brief interruption. Since this podcast is free and not supported by ads, I have a very quick ask for you. If you're finding value in this conversation, please consider sharing it with another leader or aspiring leader who you think would enjoy it, so that we can learn and lead better together. And if you're a software founder considering a successful exit to a partner who will love your team just as much as you do, I would love to hear from you. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or send me an email at austin@magratheapartners.com. That's Austin at Magrathea, MAGRATHEA, magratheapartners.com. Thanks, and now back to the show. That's great. Be relationship oriented, be giving, be good to people, keep a positive attitude, and just emanate that. And good karma will come as a result.
Exactly. And the other one I was thinking it is, always be okay with being pushed out of your comfort zone. I think, my one of my old mentors used to say, it's 20% knowledge and 80% confidence. I hope it's closer to 50-50. And he was a very confident guy. But it's like, if you have the confidence, the skill will come. You will get there. So pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and being confident that you can do the job, even if sometimes you're not quite sure.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, that's a good ratio to stay mindful of.
Yeah.
And
A little
what about your
scary, but
Yeah, indeed. What about your best advice for sales? The team has grown so much. You've seen it grow from the beginning and have helped to lead that growth. Sales is something that every leader thinks about. What would be your best advice for sales?
so I made some notes and I just decided instead I'm going to say bring clients to lunch. You know what? Everyone likes to eat. I I honestly like people, I've heard so many times over and over again like, "Oh, you're such a great salesperson." And I always say like, "But I'm not a salesperson. I don't have a sales title. I don't technically do to sales." And it's like, "But you do. You've grown the business, you bring in the sales and you do the work." You know what I mean? So, I guess I am a salesperson. I like to think that I'm more of a relationship builder. And I know that kind of sounds corny, but I've never done cold sales. I've never went out and said, "Hey, I want to sell to you." So I guess that's why I don't feel like a salesperson. I go to conferences, I go to meetings, I meet, people in the industry through other people. You talk to them, find out they have a need, and then you find a solution for that. That's kind of always what I've done. And yeah, for some reason I never think of that as sales. But to my first comment is if you take someone for lunch, if you go to dinner, if you have a drink and you get to know that person, get to know their challenges, how they work as a person, what resonates with them, that is when you're going to get a sale. Those going back to, just being human and understanding them and letting them also understand you. The other thing that I always think about for sales is I'm not someone that really beats around the bush. Like if I write an email to a client and say, "Hey, we sent you a proposal, just checking in, how's it going?" I'll also always finish with, "We really want to work with you on this. Is budget an issue? Is scope an issue? Was it the methodology you want to look for? Let's jump on a call and let me know." I don't want to hear in a week that we lost due to price. I hate hearing that. So I think it also helps when you're just always transparent. There's something about being like, they know why you're writing, you know why you're writing. So come out and ask the questions you want to ask versus kind of trying to go around the situation.
Great advice. Great advice for sales. And
And I'm
what
not a
about
salesperson. So, for those people that are actually in
great
sales,
advice for
tell you that's
relationship
not the right
building?
one. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, on the topic of relationships, what would be your best advice for managing people? You've managed a lot of people now. What advice would you have for others who are starting to manage people and working on improving how they manage people?
I always tell my VPs, my team, that what's made me successful in managing people because I'm unorganized, I am half chaos, but I'm not half chaos. I'm always chaos. If you want great people to do great work, which helps make you successful, I always say you have to love your team. And that's the number one thing I live by. My team, I want them to succeed. And for me to succeed, they have to succeed and they need to grow and they need to develop their careers. And if you're not all in on your team, if you don't think they can get there, if you don't trust them, if you don't enjoy them, if you don't think they have the right skill set, then you just stumble along the way while they stumble. I said this last week to one of my VPs on a one-on-one as we were talking. I was like, you need to love your team. You have to think they can get there. And if they can't, you can't get there. And so that would be my number one. And my number two is to always be transparent. And I am the type of manager that I watch one of my team members present and I'm like, something didn't seem right there. And I have no trouble calling them being like, "Oh, this point, like I don't think you came across clear enough. I think this could have been better. That recommendation wasn't active enough." No one wants to hear the word active out of my mouth because I say it so often. But I'm very quick to call them and give them that information. I believe that waiting until a performance review to give feedback, they can't remember what line they said 2 months ago that wasn't active enough. So I do believe that to help your team grow and to be successful, very transparent and consistent feedback in a positive way is really key to the job.
So, what would be your vision for the next 5 to 10 years? There's been amazing tailwinds at your back, and the company has been growing. What's your vision for the next 5 to 10 years?
So I left this one blank. Because I always think 5 years ago, I don't know if I could have even thought about what today looked like. But I did, going back to, the vision of the company to be the biggest and smartest insight partner to, the largest brands in the world. That would be where our company wants to be. That's what we want to do. For me, in 5 years' time, I hope I've worked myself out of a job. The job I'm doing today, everyone can do it without me. And, I'd be doing something different, building something new, maybe lying on a beach somewhere and not worrying about anything. But I do think that we're going to be much larger, much stronger. We are working on a lot of new tech capabilities, innovation. So I think we'll be leading the industry. And yeah, hopefully our Chicago office, our UK office, all of that jazz is bigger and better too. And I'll be lying on a beach so I can just check online, make sure it's going well, and go back to my pina colada.
Fantastic. I love that. That's really the A plus player mindset, being able to, grow your team and the capabilities of your team to where you can be working on new things, including perhaps at least a small vacation on the beach.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, though, I will jump back in there. And one of the things that I guess when you talked about how the industry is changing, I talked a lot about how it's changed in the last 5 years. So now, as I think about the next 5 years, I'll jump back in there with AI because it is such a growing part of everything we do. And I don't know if it's as obvious to the regular person, not the industry, the impact it's having on market research right now, but especially qualitative. And I mentioned it before on how quick and how easy we can do things. At Dig, we have a full AI department right now working on our own internal systems. And it's absolutely phenomenal. I've had my team members say, are we going to lose our job someday? And I'm like, no, absolutely not, because AI makes mistakes. It doesn't have empathy. There's a lot of things missing. But we do have a team that has built our own AI capabilities with, other AI, obviously, platforms in the background, but developing it specifically for us. And we can now put focus groups, interviews, a 3-day online ethnography, videos, text, pictures, and it can help you analyze that. It can help you go through the data, summarize it, give you buckets. It's actually the amount of work we can do and what we can do with it. And also a little bit of the objectivity, because qual is very subjective. So at least we can look at an AI output and say, that's right, or actually that's coming through too strong and our gut's telling us this. So I think that one thing that we'll see a change in the next 5 to 10 years is another very large shift. That to online has already been a large shift, but I think we have another very big shift coming to make things more efficient, faster, cheaper, easier to do our
It's
work.
going to be it's going to be interesting to see how AI reshapes the world in the next 5 to 10 years
In
for sure.
every industry. Yeah, I sometimes wonder what it's doing for other industries that I don't even think about.
Yeah, amazing. Is there any question that I haven't asked yet that I should have asked?
I don't think so. I think that, yeah, like given it is a leadership podcast, one, I'm very excited that you even asked me to join. I always just, you think about yourself as, your day to day, you wake up, you do a job and, just like everyone else, but it's been a lot of fun to kind of grow the team that we have, the Dig leadership in general. Again, back to why I joined Dig, the open-mindedness, the fact that the guy's like, oh, do you want to come work at Dig? And I actually look at them and I'm like, I don't do quant research. So that seems like a bad idea. Like I'm not a fit. And it's the openness to say, but you could do something. What do you want to do? What are you good at? It's honestly a role that, I think is very important to always look for, I guess, people's strengths. And then how can you really kind of lean into that and use that as a part of your own success? So yeah, as it comes to leadership, it's all about, yeah, kind of just taking the opportunities as you get them, getting a little bit lucky.
That doesn't hurt either, just like the tequila.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
You just so happen to be on the right train at the right time.
At the right time. Love
Yes.
that. And and so that, as you know, the title of the podcast is the Leadership and Legacy Podcast, and we always like to close on the topic of legacy. I'd be very curious, what does legacy look like for you personally and also for Dig?
So I think for Dig might be the easier one. You know what I mean? Like we are in the industry. We consider ourselves, the most innovative insights partner, the smartest insights partner. Our like tagline when I started there was complex questions, clear answers. And I think, that's something we really in the market, we like to for people to think like they can come to us. It can be the most complex question, and we will use an innovative solution to get you the best possible answer. And I think so for the legacy in the market, I think being seen as smart and innovative, very clear, and the most innovative with our upside platform, with our in-house tools, our data analysis. For myself, that's harder because, I would I be the best qualitative researcher? No, I was fine. I was fine. I'm much better at developing business and not having to do the work myself. I've, my team does that for me. But I do think it's important kind of as a woman to have that view. Um, I think in general, we've made that change at Dig. When I started, I said the four founders, the four partners, all men. And we have, made a very large effort to make sure that's not the case anymore. We are many more women now than men, which is always nice to say. And I think that coming up in a company that was male dominated and being able to have that say, I'm definitely the loudest in the company. I definitely have the most to say in the company. And as a legacy, I think, being able to say that, we were able to do that, and also, having the space and the I guess the support behind me to be able to build what we have built is kind of, yeah, what I'm proud of. And I hope that, if I'm on a beach in 5 years, I'm no longer at Dig. At least I hope that, people still remember that.
Well, I'm sure that they certainly will. It sounds like you found that initial cultural fit, and it sounds like the culture has evolved with you through the growth through the years, and that, you and the culture have grown a lot in positive ways together. And certainly that's an awesome legacy to leave at the company and in the world.
Yeah. And if nothing else, I love my job. So, who cares?
Fantastic. Well, I think that's a great place to wind down the interview. If you can find love in what you do, who cares about the rest,
Yeah,
right? That's
exactly.
certainly the most important thing.
Yeah.
A beautiful note to leave us on. Thank you so much for your time today. This was a lot of fun. I feel like I learned a lot. I know that our audience also will learn a lot, and we're just very grateful to you for the time and for sharing your insights with us.